If you think comedy is spontaneous, you couldn't be more wrong. It's more than just being funny. Like, we've all had a funny thought, a funny experience that we want to share, but turning it from like an idea or an experience into a bit, like at that point you're creating art and a lot goes into it. In this video, we're going to talk about the process that I take to turn an idea into something that I say on stage that hopefully makes people laugh. Welcome to Wild Ride. My name is Savannah Pagnozzi. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Keep in mind, I've been doing comedy for only a little under 2 years. So my 2-year anniversary will be at the end of February. So obviously this journey is still very new to me. And so this is my process right now. I'm sure it'll change a million times as I grow in my career, but this is what we got right now. First and foremost is, where do I get the inspiration? That's actually my number one question I get when I'm out and people, well, the number two question. The first one is, are you actually funny because you're a girl? From men. Then the number two question I get is like, where do you get your inspiration from? And I would say it's like my everyday life. So a lot of my comedy is about situations I've been in where I really messed up, and there's so much humor in, you know, your mess ups and being able to laugh at yourself. And then another thing I would say is my family and how I grew up. My brother, my dad, very, very funny people. So bringing them into the bit is always fun, and they're very good at laughing at themselves. And then the last one I would say would be observing other people, but I tend to always take an observation how everyone can relate to it and bring it into like my life and a situation that happened in my life. That's number one, how I get the inspiration. And from there, usually I'll just kind of talk it out. So the number one app I use on my phone is unfortunately Instagram, but after that, it's TikTok. Okay, but after that, YouTube, and then voice memos. So everyone has voice memos naturally on their phone, like Apple just downloads it for you. So voice memos, and there's just so many of them. I should probably organize them better, but so when I have an idea, I'll just hit record, and you'll see it'll start recording, and I'll talk it through on my phone, and just all the thoughts that are coming to me, the story, the idea, and I'll let that usually sit. Like if I do that in the evening, if something comes to me, I'll go back to it the next morning. So step two is really getting it out, getting all my thoughts out. Because a lot of times when we have something in our head, we could be like, oh, that's really funny. And then when it comes out of our mouth, we're like, I didn't like that one bit. So I like to get it all out. And from there, the next day, I'll listen to the voice memo and I'll go on Google Docs. I have this like full doc where I keep all my bits. So I'll put it in there. So I'll give it a title, and I'll just start writing all the things that I think are fun about what I put in my voice memos the day before. After that, I'll start structuring it into like comedic form, I guess. So we're gonna talk about like the premise, you know, the setup, and then we're gonna get into some punchlines, and obviously that's a very basic form of that. A lot of times we don't even realize, but we talk in the way a comedy bit should be structured. And we say what the story's about, we tell a little bit of the story, and we throw little punchlines in there just naturally. And then from there, I'll write it into my notebook, so then when I go to an open mic or a show and I want to test it out, I've got it all in there about what I want to say. Usually just bullet points or, you know, a specific word that I know I need to hit, a punchline, just to make it easy on myself. Also, the vulnerability it feels, or just like the feeling when you're telling a new joke. Obviously, like I said, I've been doing this under 2 years. I don't know if it's something people ever get used to. I'm sure they do, because you gotta get like just super thick skin. But telling a new joke is like telling your deepest, darkest secret to like a new crush, or being like, I don't know if I should tell them this, it's scary, because it's like you put it into this, you're like, I hope they like my art. It is a little still nerve-wracking for me to tell a new joke, but I rip off that Band-Aid pretty quickly, because I know the quicker I rip off the Band-Aid, the quicker I can get to the best joke for that bit. And a few things about writing that I feel like people don't even realize is how much the placement of words matter. So you really got to restructure your sentences to put, like, if the funny word is in the middle and you usually have some words after it, you got to figure out how to put that funny word or the word that's the phrase that's going to make people laugh the most at the very end. And so sometimes that can kind of stump you a little bit of how to restructure that. Also, you want to end on the biggest laugh. So if I have like 3 examples, let's say if we're talking about dating, 3 examples of something funny, the one with the biggest laugh has to go at the end. And also, when it comes to your writing, is being very specific. So if I say, and then I broke a bone, right? That's not going to be as funny if like, and then I broke my tailbone. Like, you have to be very specific in what you're talking about. Also, another thing, I guess, since we're still kind of in step 2. So step 1, the inspiration. Step 2, getting it from your voice memos to your notes, like Google Doc, and then taking it to stages. Open mics are way scarier than performing in front of a real audience. A lot of open mics are only comedians, and performing in front of other comedians for some reason is so much more nerve-wracking because obviously they're judging you, they're comparing. If you have a good joke, half the time they don't even want to laugh because you're their competition, which you're really not their competition, but they don't want to laugh because they don't want to be like, let you know that it was a great joke. So open mics are honestly like where your ego goes to die. If you can survive doing open mics nonstop, like, you're gonna be just fine when you get on stage to a real audience, because real audiences are way easier to make laugh than a room full of comics. I think it's also not every comic wants to support another person, so a lot of times they keep things close to their heart where they're not gonna give you what you need to know if it's a good joke or not, which is pretty lame, but it is what it is. Also, every single time I'm like, men aren't that bad. I'm like, I haven't done an open mic in a minute, because like having to sit through men getting on stage and hearing their inner thoughts, it's tough. It really puts a new perspective into what men are thinking about. And honestly, I feel like this makes dating guys even worse, because I'm like, you guys are all thinking the same and it sucks. Step 3, I feel like after you kind of have worked it through and you got into a place where you're like, all right, I like this, you're gonna put it into your set for your show, let's just say. So let's say if you're doing 10 minutes and your new bit is 2 minutes long, you're gonna figure out where to put it. So you don't wanna put it in the beginning, you don't wanna put it at the end, you wanna put it somewhere in the middle, because you know you have enough time to, the first few jokes I know the audience is gonna love, they're gonna be on my side, it's gonna be great. Then you do the new joke, right? However it goes, doesn't matter. And then after that, you know you have enough time to either get them back or just keep crushing with the rest of your set. So if the new joke doesn't go just as you planned, the timing was off, you missed a couple words, whatever it is, you have enough time at the end of the set to get them back and still have like a good ending to your set. Versus if you were to put it at the end, you're like, well, now I gotta get off stage. Or in the beginning, people could get the wrong idea of you. If you put a new joke up front that doesn't work, then it's harder to get them back. Basically, when you first get on stage, an audience is, whether they know it or not, wondering if they're gonna trust you, right? So if you make them laugh pretty quickly, you take the stage with a lot of confidence, they're like, we trust her and we're gonna go on this journey with her. And so you always want to start out with a joke that you know is going to do well, so they get that impression from you. Versus if you start out with not so much confidence, the first one kind of bombs, it's going to be a lot harder to get them on board after that, and for you to take them on this journey if they don't trust you from the start. So that's why you want to kind of put it in the middle. But then let's say the joke goes well, great. All right, you're just going to keep working it, keep adding different punchlines, keep trying different things. And a lot of times what starts out, let's just say as like that 2-minute bit, can expand into 20 minutes. If it's a great premise and people are loving it, sometimes it'll turn into, we'll just add it on to the end of this joke because it works better that way. So I feel like a bit is never really done, at least at like my stage where I'm at. Obviously, if I'm a huge comedian, I put out a 1-hour special on Netflix, then that bit's gonna be done for that point, because it's like, all right, now they want a new hour, we're gonna start from scratch. So one, we're gonna get the idea, however comedians get their inspiration, I get it from my daily life, mainly my fuck ups, I will say. And then two, taking that from voice memos to Google Docs to then trying it on stage at an open mic. And then from there, taking it to the stage, seeing what a real audience thinks, and then working it and tweaking it from there. That's my writing process. And like I said, it's probably gonna change a million times, but that's where I'm at right now. Actually, comedians have been doing it for longer, make fun of me. They're like, you have a Google Doc with all your bits. Like, they think it's absolutely ridiculous, but I know that's just the way I was taught. So, and it's fun to kind of go back if I'm like, because a lot of times bits aren't fully developed into an idea at that moment. Sometimes they're not ready to be fully developed. Maybe you're not at that level, right? And so I'll go back, and if I'm looking for inspiration, be like, wait, that was a great premise. Like, actually, let me bring that back and rework it. So I love having the Google Doc, but people laugh at me. That is my comedic writing process. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, that's been Wild Ride with Savannah Pagnozzi.